Hello, this is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from the beautiful metaverse. And this is Reverend Don's Vlog. And tonight our question comes to us from the Reverend Sir Jeanine de Oya. And Sir Jeanine has this question. And let me read it to make sure that I am getting it correctly. And Sir Jeanine says, I have a question, and um, I know that you teach that magic comes from the higher self, but would that include people who are practicing baneful magic? And Sir Jeanine goes on to say that she tends to feel that when um, people are practicing baneful magic, that is magic that's intended to do bad things, that they're drawing upon their shadow self rather than their higher self. Um, and she points out that the shadow self can be just as powerful, if not more. So there are a couple of things in this question. Um, Now let's say hello to Arlene Freed. Hi, Arlene, and to Sharon Cathy. Hi, Sharon. So starting with this, I do take the view that when we do magic or anything psychic, and hello to Mary Hawk and Nicole Onstedt-Henneman, that we are drawing upon our higher self, is the higher parts of our being, and we of course are filtering that through our conscious mind into this world. I do think that includes when people use magic for bad purposes. I think that it's still all the same energy. It's the point about coming through our mind and into this world where it will be used for good or bad. Um, I think the energy is just the same either way. Now, if you were to ask me, not about the energy, but about the intent, are they perhaps being guided by their shadow self? Well, I would probably agree to that. The shadow self are the parts of ourselves we don't recognize, the parts of ourselves we disown and isolate within our soul. They're the parts that are blocked, the parts that we don't like to deal with. We're often unconscious of them, and for some people, there's more blocked in that shadow than there is consciously in the light. And that includes a lot of motivations that people do not see. So, if what we mean by this question, and hello to Sheila St. Pierre, if what we mean by this question is when people are doing negative workings, is the motivation coming out of their shadow? Well, I would agree with that. But I think the energy is all the same energy. And I think this is true in terms of all physical actions as well. Um, when you enact a physical action, it doesn't matter if this is a productive or a destructive action, it's still the energy of your body that you're using to do it, which in turn is drawing on the energy of your soul. It's what you do with it. So that would be the gist of my answer, that yes, I would still say that even with baneful magic, the person is drawing that energy from their higher self, but perhaps not the motivation. And that of course is a complex question that is individual to their particular circumstances. And even what would be considered to be good or bad, we've talked about this on the vlog before, is a very relative thing. It's relative to culture, it's relative to time, can be relative to circumstances. One of the most famous examples of this was the question, which I believe was posed all the way back in the 1970s, but is it appropriate to do a binding on a rapist to prevent them from committing further rapes? And my thought on that is that that's actually merely defensive. I see no reason that you would not do such a thing. And hello to Michael Schlosson in the chat room. It was nice to meet you on Saturday, Michael, and nice to meet your children. Beautiful children. But yes, I would not consider that to be baneful magic. I would consider that to be protective toward potential victims. And hello to Natalie Richos. And I think that we have to bear in mind that our ideas of good and bad can be surprisingly transitory if we look through history. Many things we consider good today would have been considered bad a few hundred years ago, and many things they considered bad we consider good. Such as, I mean, the idea of democracy. which was not particularly well looked upon in certain eras, but which we would regard as a very positive thing, at least some of us. We only need to look around the world to see that's not a universal view, even now. And in fact, if we look around the world, we can see all too clearly that what we consider good or bad isn't the same everywhere. And so we have to be careful in making existential comments based on the views of our time, because they won't necessarily hold up from every viewpoint. We did a vlog some years ago on the subject of divine justice, and do I believe there is such a thing? And my answer was yes, but it isn't necessarily the same thing as what we, from our viewpoint, would be considering just in the situation. Our viewpoint is specific. And hello to Christine Higginbotham. We were just talking about you the other day, Christine. We came across a photo of you from a long ago St. Louis picnic. And hello to Sunny Tanner Reed. And it's so nice to have people I can say hello to actually while they're watching. That's so different from the vlogs of yesteryear. So those would basically be my feelings, that we have to be careful what we consider universal, and that even when it is something that we definitely would consider to be baneful magic, and that perhaps nobody would consider otherwise, the energy is still that same energy that you would use for doing anything good. It's just the purpose that it's being put to that is bad. And yes, that can be influenced absolutely by the shadow self. And we talked a little bit about what the shadow is. And the shadow is very important, and dealing with the shadow is very important. Healing and reintegrating that energy is very important. In the third degree, we talk about that as karmic disentanglement. The shadow is all that energy that's blocked within you, that someone described as being lost from your main energy. When we do soul retrieval, that's where we're retrieving the energy from. And one of the things I've found very instructive in my years of practice is when you go to do that kind of work, that there are so many different ways to do it. When you work on karmic disentanglement, you can approach it in a oh, and I see that Christine is saying she hopes to attend the St. Louis picnic this summer. We will be there. I hope we will see you. I'm quite excited about coming back to St. Louis Pagan Picnic after it's not having been around for a while for obvious reasons. One of my favorite events. But as I was going to say, when you deal with karmic disentanglement, you can deal with it from the view of soul loss and soul retrieval, which I would consider to be a fairly, in some ways, a fairly mental way of approaching it, because it deals heavily with understanding. You can approach it from the work of energy work, where you don't necessarily know quite what you're healing, but you can still work on it. You can approach it from any number of ways of working to heal blockages. You can approach it even from Reiki. There are many ways to approach it, but it's all doing the same thing through different avenues. So these would be my thoughts on the question. I hope you find them helpful. And hello to everyone watching. At the top of the hour, I will be doing Chancellor's Chat at 9 p.m. Eastern. Feel free to join us. Please hit like, subscribe, or share according to what platform you're seeing the vlog on. I'm doing my Monday night vlog now at 8 p.m. Eastern, so that gives me time to get it out before chat starts. I still do have the goal of doing the vlog at least 3 times a week, but these last weeks that has not happened, but it may happen yet. If you have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat room or to send them to me through some other way. Well, obviously the vlog runs on questions. I do have a number of them in queue, but I can always use more. Hello to Melody Leaper in the chat room. And just today, I sent off Ritual and Theory and Practice to the printers, and I made an announcement of that. If you buy it from Amazon, you'll get it faster. If you buy it from Corellian Publishing, I think the date was about April 15th that you'd be likely to have it, because we have to wait for it to be sent from the printers. I may have said publisher, I mean printer. We are the publisher, but we are publishing through Amazon. And this is true with all of the books we've been bringing out through Corellian Publishing. You can find most of them on Amazon, and you'd probably get them faster. And if you're outside of the United States, you'd probably pay less in shipping as well. So we recommend that you get them from Amazon if these are things that are important. But if you want to have it signed, by all means get it from Corellian Publishing, because then I can personally sign it and send it out to you. But it does take it longer to come through our hands. Um, and of course, some things you will only find there, such as the cards, the ebooks, etc. So thank you, and um, it's always a pleasure talking with everyone, and I will see you next time, and until next time, may you blessed be.